All right, you beautiful people, it is May 2021. We're taking a look back at what happened in April in real estate in Ottawa. And without making comments about my hair, how deep we are into lockdown, we'll just get right into it. So I sold a total of 2,402 properties in April, an increase of 163%. The average price went up by 40.9%. Inventory obviously is a lot less because we sold so many properties. We've increased our inventory. If you look at April 2021 versus April 2020, obviously it's gone down. But if you look at March 2021, you can see that we've gone up by about 400 properties more than we had last month. So we're starting to get more inventory, which is great. That's part of the problem. Supply and demand. This is starting to increase our supply. Okay. Obviously 0.66 months of inventory because the number of sales was also so high. Definitely still a seller's market, but a bit of a shift starting to happen. Year to date, you can see that we've sold 62.2 more properties so far, and the average price has gone up by 32%. Obviously, the number of sales in 2020 was 55% drop from 2019. So comparing the 2021 sales to the 2020 sales isn't fair. That's why you see the number like 163%. But if you compare 2021 to the 3 years of 17, 18, and 19, it's still an increase of 23% more sales. So thankfully, the inventory is starting to come back a little bit. So we're starting to see a bit of an increase there. Hopefully, it'll start to balance things out. But look, we added 400 units this month. We need to get to probably 2, 3, 4,000 more units than we've got right now. So it's going to take a while for this to even back up. And I don't think every month we're going to add 400 properties. If we break it down into the residential versus the condo side, on the residential side, we sold a total of 1,859 units. Again, it's an increase of 166%. Don't take that number into account. Doesn't really matter. What is important is the rate has gone up. The average price has gone up to 42.3% to an average of $758,000 for a residential property in the month of April. Inventory, again, slight creep. It is coming up versus March 2021, but when you compare it to April 2020, again, it's significantly less. A couple months ago, these numbers, when we're looking at year over year for the specific month, it was close to 50% less. So now it's only at about 23. So there is a bit of a creep happening in terms of inventory. 0.63 months of inventory, again, because we're selling so many properties, okay? So yes, we've got more that are coming on, but we're also selling more than we did in the past. So to keep up with everything is a little bit tough. Year to date, we're sitting at 62% more properties sold. That number will slightly get smaller and smaller as we continue over the next few months, getting towards the end of the year. 2020 was really backloaded in terms of number of sales. I'm assuming that 2021 is going to look more standard in terms of the hump that happened. So we sell most of our properties in Ottawa in spring. It didn't happen in 2020 because of this pandemic. Both April and May were much lower months in terms of number of sales, and that was all sort of made up closer to the end of the year. So it'll be interesting as things sort of even back out looking forward. So year to date, obviously on the residential side, we're looking at 34.7% more expensive to buy a residential property in Ottawa than it was last year, which is relatively significant, okay? The residential sales obviously are driving our market. The average price went down by actually $15K versus March 2021. The overall average is still up. The $1 million home sales are above 12% of total sales. Last month it was 10% of total sales. So there is an increase in more expensive properties that are selling ultimately. Now, if we talk about the condo world, okay, we've sold again 154% more condos than we sold in 2020. But again, a very depressed market then. But the average price in April up by 30.3% in the condo world. So these are really drastic changes, okay? $100,000 more to buy a condo in 2021 than it was in 2020. Obviously, the inventory has started to creep and is going up and above what we saw last year. So we can see that the inventory is actually 11.5% more, but there's still less than a month's worth of inventory on the market. So definitely still a seller's market. That gives us, about 3 weeks of inventory on the market right now. And year to date in the condo world, we're looking at a total of 1,774 properties sold, an increase of 62.8% year to date, obviously, and the average price has gone up by 19.8%. So the month-to-month condo prices also went down versus March. So interesting, both the residential and the condo prices month over month. So March over April went down, but they're still rising year to date. So it shows that March was a big month, and the April lockdown has had a bit of a blip effect. Obviously, all of the fundamentals are still in place. We still have a very strong market. Okay, employment is still high. Inventory is still drastically lower than it needs to be, and demand is still high. Now, what that means is some houses are starting to not instantly sell as soon as offer date hits. It sometimes takes a little bit longer. Some houses are selling conditionally. Some houses aren't selling on offer day because the sellers are saying, "Hey, well, I want to get this number for my house, and if I don't get it, then I'm not gonna sell it. I won't take it." So as agents, it's hard for us to sort of navigate that. We can do it, obviously, by having conversations with our clients, setting expectations. I know agents have been really getting a bad rap recently, saying that, oh, well, as agents, we're setting this whole thing up, and sellers are being greedy, and it's making it harder for buyers, et cetera, et cetera. Really, the main factor driving everything that's happening in our market is that the supply is low and the demand is drastically high. To build enough properties that everybody's going to have somewhere to live, and to keep up with the immigration that's expected to happen in Ottawa over the next little while. The City Planning Council and the builders are going to have to do a really good job in putting more and more and more units. Not necessarily condo units, also houses that families are going to be able to live in. So as much as we as agents are doing everything we can to work the best that we can for our clients, whether they're buyers or whether they're sellers, having some support from people who are responsible to place inventory onto the market obviously is going to be a huge factor, because there are things that are out of our control. Anyways, this is a long-winded piece about what's going on in the market in general. Obviously, the real estate market is going crazy. If you're thinking about buying, you're thinking about selling, you're thinking about investing in real estate, please reach out. My team and I would be more than happy to help. As always, the phone number 613-314-3187. And until then, Sty Fire out.